beginning, right from the beginning. I may not dictate few definitions, but we'll see thoroughly, which is required for either JEE or NEET level. We'll do thoroughly, right? Shall we begin? What is a vector first of all to begin with? Come on. What is a vector? Anyone? Vishnu?
Vector is a physical quantity which has both magnitude and direction.
Not enough. Not enough.
And parallelogram law of vectors, etc.
Which obeys geometrical laws of vector addition. So a physical quantity is basically a physical quantity. Physical quantity is basically divided into, quantity is basically divided into three types, basically three types. Come on. Number one, scalar. Number two, vector. Number three, tensor. What do you mean by scalar? What do you mean by scalar? Scalar is a physical quantity which has only magnitude, which requires only magnitude, which requires only magnitude is what is called scalar. What do you mean by vector? A physical quantity having both magnitude and direction also obeys geometrical laws. So this obeys algebra. This obeys what? Geometry. This obeys geometry. Then what is a tensor? Then what is a tensor? It is neither a vector nor a scalar. It's neither a vector nor a scalar, but it takes different values, different direction. It takes different values in different direction. It doesn't have a definite direction. It does not have a definite value. All those. What are the good example for tensor in our level at +1 level, at IIT JEE level? What are the good example for tensor? What are the good examples for tensor? The best number one example is moment of inertia. Have you come across something called moment of inertia? Have you come across something called moment of inertia? Yes, Kanna?
Yes, sir. First law of Newton.
No. Come on, what's moment of inertia? I is equal to summation mi ri square of a rigid body. You remember that? You remember that?
Yes, sir. Last class.
Yes. Last class only you have seen. This is moment of inertia. Clear now? Any other example? Yes, we have example. Stress. What is stress? Force per unit area. Of course, I am going to teach you later. Stress. And the excellent one more example may be pressure. Then what are the good example for say geometrical the vector, physical quantities which obey geometrical addition, also called vectors. Example enna kudukalam? Displacement, velocity, acceleration, force, we have plenty, momentum, all those. Come to scalar, which obeys pure algebra, simple algebra. What are the quantities? Mass. Mass is an excellent example. Yes, can I one more? Time. Yes, time is an excellent example. Length is an excellent example. You are right. You are 100% right. Now, what we are going to do, this, I am not going to describe what is a scalar. We are not going to see in detail the scalar. Leave it. We are not going to see the tensor in detail. Just leave it. Now we are going to see in detail. What is that? A vector. A vector may be basically divided into two types at least two types. One are called polar vectors. The other one is called non-polar vectors. Other is called non-polar vectors. Yes, my dear kids, there are about 28 viewers in the YouTube also. Parallel is going on. Excellent, very good. Excellent. Okay. Polar vectors and non-polar vectors. What do you mean by polar vector? The polar vector is also called proper vectors. Polar vectors are also called proper vectors. What do you mean by non-polar vectors? Obviously, improper vectors. Improper vectors we call as pseudo vectors. We call it as pseudo vectors. Improper vectors are also called pseudo vectors. No doubt, proper, improper. Instead of improper, we prefer to call it as pseudo vector. What do you understand by pseudo vector? Which is a false vector. Pseudo means false, you know. It's a false vector. What do you mean by false?
Sir,
Yes, Kanna. Aishwarya, okay, come on.
sir, you actually removed written as spaces, written as space also.
Let her join through YouTube, Kanna. Let her join through YouTube. YouTube link is already there. Please ask her to join.
Okay.
Yes, please. Yes. It's a polar vector, is a proper vector. Non-polar vector is a pseudo vector, right? Pseudo vector. What do you mean by pseudo vector? அப்போ அது உருப்படியான டைரக்ஷன் இல்லை, சரியான டைரக்ஷன் அதுக்கு இல்லை. What do you mean by proper vector? It has got definite direction. Nobody can change that. It's called proper vector. Which is doesn't have proper direction. The excellent example for this, come on, யாரா சொல்ல முடியுமா? All rotational quantities. All rotational quantities come under this. What do you mean by that? Omega, the angular velocity. Alpha, the angular acceleration. Tau, torque, turning effect of force. L, the angular momentum that you studied in chemistry. Bohr atom model. All this come under what? Pseudo vectors. Yes, sir. Romba simple. I am calling it as clockwise. But you people sitting in front of me, those who are looking at the camera, through camera, call it as anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
So for me it is clockwise, for you it is anti-clockwise. What is the direction then? That's what is pseudo vector. Appo idu going on direction kadayadu. It depends on observer, direction will change. Those vectors are called pseudo vector. I hope you understand. So according to your position, the direction may appear to change. This kind is what is called pseudo vector. So the excellent example, angular velocity, angular acceleration, torque, angular rotation, anything related to rotation may be the best example for this. Come to proper vectors. Proper vectors, we want to divide this proper vectors into majorly into two parts at least. We want to divide them at least into two parts. Which one? Polar vectors or proper vectors. This is our syllabus full proper vectors. Yes. This is the The first one is called position vector. The other one may be called as free vectors. Sorry, Kanna. Free vectors, bound vectors. Sorry. Bound vectors. Free vectors, bound vectors. What do you mean by free vector? What do you mean by free vector? The vector that you can move anywhere in the universe but parallel to itself is what is called free vector. Parallel to itself is what is called free vector. For example, say this scale represents, say, 20 meter per second speed towards eastern direction. Suppose in my room this is the eastern direction by chance, right? Now I want to represent this line segment as a vector quantity. Vector quantity. I can take it from here, Chennai to Bangalore, Bangalore to Delhi, but you should maintain parallelity with this. இதுக்கு parallel move பண்ணணும், எங்க போனாலும் parallel move பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கணும், இப்படி move பண்ணக்கூடாது, புரியுது இல்லையா? So a vector which can be moved parallel to itself anywhere is called free vector. So for example, I dictate a problem in classroom. A motorcycle goes due east. A motorcycle goes due east with a speed 20 meter per second. அப்படின்னு நான் சொல்றேன். இந்த question I am dictating in Chennai classroom, I am dictating in Delhi classroom. Does it make any difference? No. I am dictating by looking at the western side, by looking at the northern side. Is there any difference? No. Because anybody can imagine a motorcycle going due east with a speed 20 meter per second. Means this 20 meter per second is free to move from Chennai to Delhi anywhere. It's no problem, no harm in that. Such vectors are called free vectors. So vector which is free to move anywhere in the world space is what is called free vector, but it should be parallel to itself. So the excellent example in physics for this is displacement, velocity, acceleration. These are the very good examples for this. In class displacement, velocity, acceleration may be very good example for this. Upon the pseudo example, it already, right? Come back to bound vectors. There are some vectors in some situations they may remain bound. You may not able to move them parallel to itself. You may not able to move them parallel to itself. Now, you may not able to move them parallel to itself. For example, I have been always giving you, there is a pole, pole, you tie a rope here and apply force F. You want to see what is torque on this rope, pole, sorry, the pole will be side. So the pole is now rotating, clear now? The pole is now rotating, the pole is now rotating because you pull it here. Now, if you apply force here F1, you apply force here F2, will the pole behave alike or it is different? Different, even though the forces are parallel to itself. See, inga force வந்து நீங்க மூவ் பண்ணிட்டோமா முதல்ல இங்க அப்ளை பண்றேன் I observe the experiment and then I apply here. Will the pole rotate, behave, fall in the similar way or bit different? Kandipa different though. Appo by moving my force from here to here I am not getting the same result like this. When I moved the velocity vector from Chennai to Delhi did not make any difference. So this kind of vectors are called what? Bound vectors. You cannot move them. You cannot move them. The center of muscle on the force. These are called bound vectors. But in our textbook, in your mathematics complete vector algebra, we discuss one and only about this. One and only about this. What is it? Free vectors. Either in physics and the applications of physics or 99.5% only this. Very rarely we come across the other vectors. Chariya, shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Good, excellent. But note pannitina, I can move further. If you say yes, we can move further. I can go straight away for types of free vectors and I can straight away start with the subject. Is very good the LM introduction now. Shall I go ahead, go to next page? Shall I select next page? Shall I select next empty page and go ahead? Polama. Shall we connect?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Yes. So what are the types of vectors? Now, whenever I call vector, I am talking only about free vector. It is understood. So by default, when you see a word vector in your textbook or any other book, it is automatically free vector. It is automatically free vector. Serially? Vector, free vector. Vector. Types. நீங்க சொல்லுங்க கண்ணா ஏதாவது டக்கு டக்குன்னு சொல்லுங்க நம்ம சும்மா இதெல்லாம் ஸ்டோரி தான் என்ன சொல்லுங்க பார்க்கலாம் parallel vectors. Come on.
Unit vector.
Unit vector, very tough vector you have chosen. Unit vector. That's right.
Position vector.
Position vector.
Displacement vector.
Displacement vector.
Zero vector.
Vector.
Zero or null vector. இது போதும் மிச்சம் நிறைய ஸ்டோரி இருக்கு கோஇனிஷியல் வெக்டர் கோடெர்மினஸ் வெக்டர் parallel vectors anti parallel vectors equal vectors இப்படி எல்லாம் நிறைய இருக்கு அந்த ஸ்டோரி எல்லாம் நமக்கு வேண்டாம் no need of all those you can understand very well this is enough for us time being right yes let us begin with unit vector put it on hold for some time we'll understand bit later now come to the next one position vector what do you mean by position vector what do you mean by position vector if a position of a particle position of a point is measured with respect to come on origin with respect to origin then it is called position vector so எதுவா இருந்தாலும் நீ ஆரிஜின்ல இருந்து ஆரம்பிக்கணும் அப்படி ஆரம்பிச்சா அதுக்கு என்ன பேரு position vector that's called position vector புரியுதா so what is position vector if a position of an object position of a point is measured with respect to origin then it's called position vector then it's called position vector சரியா கண்ணே right? Next one is displacement vector.
Yes.
Next one is displacement vector. Displacement vector. What do you mean by displacement vector? It's a very interesting point.
Rate of change of position of an object.
No, it is displacement vector. It is not velocity I am talking about. I am talking about displacement. So there is no question of rate of change. Understand the point? Understand or not? Yes? Yes. So it's a displacement vector, right? Displacement vector. Displacement vector. What do you mean by displacement vector? Position vector क्या सुनना है? याराவது repeat பண்ண பார்க்கலாம். நீ repeat பண்ண பார்க்கலாம் please. Position of an object is measured.
When the position of an object is measured with respect to the origin.
Position vector. So when the position of object is measured with respect to anything other than origin, it's called displacement vector. Anything other than origin is called displacement vector. புரியுதல்லையா? இப்போ this is your coordinate system. This is my point P1, which is here. This is called position vector. You can understand. உங்க text bookல பாத்தீங்கன்னா அழகா கொடுத்திருப்பாங்க. இப்போ this particle goes from here to here. Say delta r vector. This delta r is what is called position vector. பாருங்க delta r எங்க ஆரம்பிக்குது origin? இங்க ஆரம்பிக்குது. So when you measure position of any point, இது ஒரு பாயிண்ட் தான், இது P2, வேற ஒன்றும் கிடையாது, ஒன்றும் புதிய விஷயம் கிடையாது, P2 தான் இது. அப்போ அந்த P2 எப்படி மெஷர் பண்றேன்னா ஆரிஜின்லேருந்து மெஷர் பண்ணா அதுக்கு பேர் பொசிஷன் வெக்டர். ஆரிஜின் இல்லாம வேற எந்த பாயிண்ட் நீ எடுத்தாலும் அதுக்கு என்ன பேரு, என்ன பேர் இருக்கு? கமான்,
Displacement vector.
புரியுதா? அப்போ if you measure from origin it is called position vector. If you do not measure from origin it is automatically called displacement vector. So simple it is. So simple it is. Understand the point? I hope you understand the displacement and position. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Excellent. Come to zero vector or null vector. Come to zero vector or null vector. Pulama? Zero vector or null. What do you mean by zero vector or null vector? It's a very important vector. It's a very important vector to understand. எப்படி பார்க்கலாமா? இப்போ A vector plus 0. What's the answer?
A vector.
A vector. Then A vector minus A vector. What's the answer?
Zero vector.
Zero vector. Right? Zero vector. Ipo A vector multiplied with 0. What's the answer? 0.
Zero vector.
A vector plus 0. What's your answer? A vector. Now here and there some mistakes are there in these four equations what I have written here. There are mistakes here and there, one or two. What are they? Let us check. A vector plus 0.
Here 0 is a scalar, right?
Yes. This is impossible operation in mathematics. Nobody can add a scalar with vector. It is impossible. It is an impossible operation. It is not possible. It is not possible. It is not possible, right? Right. A vector minus A vector, it's perfect. You call it a zero vector, therefore it became right. Had you called it a simple zero, it would have been wrong. It would have been wrong.
Wrong.
Yes. A multiplied with 0 must be zero vector, not simple 0. Now you are multiplying a vector quantity with 0, so your answer must be a vector quantity. Vector quantity. A vector plus 0, it's an impossible operation.
Impossible operation.
It's an impossible operation. Therefore, zero vector is very important. Zero vector is very important to handle many situations in physics and mathematics, particularly in vector algebra. Particularly in vector algebra. You understand the point? You understand the point? So, which vector I put it on hold now, as of now? Unit vector is, we have just put it on hold, unit vector, right? Shall we go ahead with unit vector?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Lakshmi Narayanan has told me that the pressure is the example for tensor. Excellent, excellent. Meaning for tensor. Someone has asked me, Lokesh has asked me, what is the meaning for tensor? He has asked me what is meaning for tensor. Just like vector, scalar, tensor is a quantity. It's after all a physical type, a type of quantity in physics. Any physics quantity, you name it you want, maybe pressure, maybe anything that you name it, okay, can come under two categories. One may be scalar, another may be vector, another may be tensor. A tensor cannot be vector, a tensor cannot be scalar, a scalar cannot be vector. There are different varieties. Say momentum, in a solvuklam. Momentum, scalar vector, vector. Force,
Vector.
Mass, scalar.
Scalar.
Pressure,
Scalar.
tensor. In the room of pressure, the pressure is acting on this wall, that wall, everything act simultaneously it is acting. Suppose you keep a bucket of water, the pressure is acting on all sides. Which side it is acting? It is acting on all sides. That's what is tensor. Tensor it's a quantity, it's neither scalar nor vector, but it is acting in all directions. Then it's called tensor. Clear now? I hope you understand. At which, let's go to now, we want to discuss unit vector now separately. Two vector parallel vector, two vector anti-parallel vector. If the two vectors starting from a single point, it's called co-initial. If two or three vectors come and join and meet at a single point, it's called coterminus. The important one only we'll discuss. Yes, let us begin with unit vector. A vector when divided by its own, ratio between a vector and its magnitude is automatically called as unit vector. So, A cap is unit vector, which is nothing but A vector by A modulus. So, the ratio between a vector and its own magnitude is what is called A cap. So, what is B cap? Come on.
B
vector
by
B modulus. So, what is unit? If anybody take the magnitude of this, for example, if I take A cap modulus, my answer should be 1, must be 1. That's what is unit, 1 vector in 5 meter per second d east by 5. 5 meter per second d east by 5. What's your answer? 1. So it's 1 meter per second d east. That's what is A cap. Understand? Understand, Kanna? But universally we are using only few unit vectors. We are using only Cartesian coordinate system in mathematics. Supports universally in mathematics and science we are using only 3 unit vectors. What are they? Come on. I cap, J cap and K cap along X, Y and Z axis respectively. Along X, Y and Z axis respectively. Is what is called unit vector. So, if anybody has got 5 meter per second along X axis, 5 meter per second along X axis, here and after you need not say 5 meter per second along X axis, you need not write. Simply write velocity is given by 5 I cap, finished, meter per second, it is understood. So it's going along X axis like that. Okay. So unit vector, how to get a unit vector? Any vector when the ratio between the vector and its magnitude is readily gives you what? Unit vector. So maybe handle how we are practically using it. Universally we are using I cap, J cap and K cap or the unit vectors along X, Y and Z axis respectively. Getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Yes, excellent. Now, shall we go for, as usual, next day, vector addition. We have to go for vector addition. Shall we go for vector addition, Kanna?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Addition of vectors. Addition of vectors. Addition of vectors. என்ன law உங்களுக்கே தெரியுமே, மூணா பிரிப்போமே, சொல்லுங்க பார்க்கலாம். Triangular law,
parallelogram law and polygonal law.
yes, triangular law, parallelogram law, polygon law. Polygon law of vector addition. Polygon law of vector addition. Yes, first let us begin with triangular law of vector addition. Let us begin with triangular law of vector addition. Yes. Triangular law of vector addition. சொல்லுங்க, ரொம்ப simple. If two vectors taken in order form two adjacent sides of a triangle. How do you take vector? Head and tail. So it's a vector. What do you mean by this? This is head, this is tail. எவ்வளவு தூரம் இருக்கு? Suppose it is 5 meter per second, you take 5 centimeter or you take 5 millimeter. That depends on scale. அதெல்லாம் உங்களுக்கு 9th ல சொல்லி கொடுத்துட்டாங்க அதுல இல்லையா? Right. So if two vectors taken in order form two adjacent sides of the triangle, the closing side of the triangle taken in opposite order gives the resultant. Once again, if two vectors taken in order, what do you mean by in order? இந்த இடத்துல பாத்தீங்கன்னா head and tail should match. ஒரே direction இப்படி போயிட்டு இருக்கும். Two vectors taken in order form two adjacent sides of the triangle, say A vector and B vector. Let us name it as, label it as A vector and B vector. Then closing side of the triangle taken in opposite order. இது ரெண்டு இப்படி போகுதுன்னா இந்த ஆன்சர் வந்து இப்படி போகணும். It's called R vector. Now it's given to you that R vector equal to A vector plus B vector. So if two vectors taken in order form two adjacent sides of a triangle, the closing side of the triangle taken in opposite order gives the resultant both in magnitude and direction. Both in magnitude and direction. So in this class Saturday and Sunday, every Saturday and Sunday we are going to have class. We will see thoroughly all the basics and we will do high level problems also. எல்லாமே பண்ணிடுவோம். JE level problems in vectors, 2D, everything will do, right? Come on. Now parallelogram law of vector addition. Parallelogram law of vector addition. இதுல என்ன சொல்றாங்க? If two co-initial vectors, it's a co-initial point, it's a first vector and this is the second vector. This is A vector and this is B vector. So if two co-initial vectors form two adjacent sides of a parallelogram, then the diagonal of the parallelogram passing through the co-initial point give you the resultant both in magnitude and direction. Right? So again R vector equal to A vector plus B vector. What's the difference between triangular law and parallelogram law? ஒரு வித்தியாசமும் கிடையாது. One and the same. ரெண்டு ஒண்ணே தான். எந்த வித்தியாசமும் கிடையாது. ரெண்டு பேரும் ஒண்ணு தான். Absolutely it doesn't make any difference. Look at. இந்த B vector தூக்கி இங்க போட்டுட்டா, because B vector is after all a free vector, இங்க இருந்து இங்க கொண்டு போயிட்டா, now this A plus B is equal to R. இது என்ன law இது? Triangular law. If you don't know, it is called parallelogram law. புரியுது இல்லையா? Suppose இந்த B vector தூக்கி இங்க போட்டுட்டா, now you look at what is this? This and this are same. It's nothing but triangular law. அதனால triangular lawன்றதும் parallelogram lawன்றதும் தேவையில்லாது. Just a geometry would do. What is the geometry? If continuous vectors form adjacent sides of any shape, the closing side gives you resultant. Finished. Let it make any shape. You will get the result. You will get the result. This is what the polygon law says. Polygon law என்ன சொல்லுதுன்னா, if n number of vectors taken in order form adjacent sides of a polygon, the closing side of the polygon taken in opposite direction, opposite order gives you the resultant. If you know the resultant, this becomes A vector plus B vector plus C vector plus D vector எல்லாம் போட்டுக்கோ, என்னென்ன வேணுமோ போட்டுக்கோ. புரியுது இல்லையா? A vector, B vector, C vector, D vector, E vector எல்லாத்தையும் கூட்டினா வந்துடும் R vector. Finished. R vector equal to A vector plus B vector plus C vector plus D vector plus E vector. This is what is புரிஞ்சதுல எல்லாம் ஒன்று தான். All together all the three are one and the same. All the three are just one and the same. Getting it? So once again, parallel triangular law, If two vectors taken in order form two adjacent sides of the triangle, the closing side taken in opposite order gives the resultant. Parallelogram law, if two coinitial vectors form two adjacent sides of parallelogram, the closing side of the diagonal passing through the coinitial point gives the resultant. Then in the case of polygon law, if n number of vectors taken in order form adjacent sides of a polygon, the closing side of the polygon gives you the resultant. Is it right? Shall we go ahead? நான் கொஞ்சம் ஃபாஸ்ட்டாக தான் போகிறேன். இதுவே கொஞ்சம் சொல்ல போனால் டைம் வேஸ்ட் தான் நமக்கு. இவ்வளோ கூட சொல்ல தேவையில்லை, பட் இருந்தாலும் நான் கொஞ்சம் பொறுமையாக சொல்லி கொடுக்குறேன். டோன்ட் வரி, பார்த்துக்கலாம். எக்ஸ்ட்ரா கிளாஸ் வேணும்னா போட்டுக்கலாம். Now I want to go for vector subtraction. Vector subtraction. First let us learn what is vector addition. This is A vector, this is B vector. What is the angle between A vector and B vector? What is the angle between, in my diagram, what is the angle between A vector and B vector? Is this angle between A vector and B vector alpha? Is this the angle between A vector and B vector alpha in my diagram? Please check it. Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, very good Manand, very good. So if anybody interested in calculating angle between any two vectors, the first job you should take care that those vectors are co-initial. Appo, this is A vector. Let us bring this B vector from here. So this is your B vector. Now this is what is called the angle between A vector and B vector. Alpha is the wrong answer. First try to learn how to make angle between two vectors. That's very important. Suppose there are vectors like this. Look at vectors like this. So approximately I have drawn what? Polygon. Oh, sorry. Inna varanjirukku solvakkala. Pentagon inna varanjirukku nanu. Okay, pentagon let us take. Right? Now benzene mari potukalam. Chalo. Enna shape idu? Hexagon. Right. What is the angle between, suppose every side is a vector. I climb every side is a vector. Every side of a vector, hexagon is a vector I climb. Now my question for you is, what is the angle between any two vectors here, adjacent vectors here, any two adjacent vectors? What is the angle between any two adjacent vectors? In the vector A vector, in the vector B vector. What is the angle between them is my question. Cholu pakkalam. Takkanu answer vandirukkume ஏன் இவ்வளவு நேரம்? By this time you should have given me answer. What you are waiting for? Come on. No. என்ன பிரச்சனை? இது ஆன்சர் சொல்லி இவ்வளவு நேரம் ஆகுது. அப்படியே இந்த A வெக்டர் பிடிச்சி தள்ளு. இங்க கொண்டாந்து வச்சிரு A வெக்டர். முடிஞ்சிருச்சா? இப்போ A வெக்டர் B வெக்டர் கோஇனிஷியல் ஆயிட்டாங்களா? இந்த ஆங்கிள் எவ்வளவு சொல்லப்பா? 180 minus 60. 120 டிகிரி. புரியல உனக்கு? ஒரு பென்டகன்ல 60 தானே பண்ணலாம். கரெக்ட் தானே நான் சொல்றது? தப்பா சொல்றேனா? கரெக்ட் தானே? என்ன சந்தேகம் உங்களுக்கு? ஒரு பென்டகன் எத்தனை 6 சைட்ஸா? 360 by 6. கரெக்ட் தானேம்மா? இல்லைன்னா அமைதியா இருக்கு. ஆனந்த் சொல்லுமா. இப்போ இங்க மெஷர் பண்ணா நமக்கு எவ்வளவு ஒரு ஆங்கிள்? நான் டயக்ராம் சரியா போடல, நான் பென்சின் மாதிரி போட்டேன், அதனால அது ஒரு மாதிரியா இருக்கு. நீ ரியல் பென்டகன் கரெக்டா 6 ஈக்குவல் சைட்ஸ் போட்டா, நான் இது லாங்கா போட்டிருக்கேன், ஷார்ட்டா போட்டிருக்கேன், அதனால உனக்கு அப்படி தெரியுது. நீ ப்ராப்பரா 6 சைட்ஸ் ஈக்குவலா போட்டா உனக்கு எவ்வளவு தான் வரும்? 120 தான் வரும் இல்லையா? குட். Am I right? Yes. So the angle between any two vectors should be measured if and only if they are co-initial. That's what's called angle between the two vectors. Now I want to give you the relation for addition. What is it? R equal to under root. I don't want to go for derivation of this, waste of time. A square plus B square plus 2AB cos theta. I hope you know this. 2AB cos theta. And then tan phi is equal to, come on, B sin theta divided by A plus B cos theta. இதுக்கு ஒரு சின்ன டயக்ராம் மட்டும் கொடுத்துறேன் உங்களுக்கு சும்மா புரியறதுக்காக. This is A vector and this is B vector. Suppose the angle between them is theta. So this is R vector, resultant vector. So approximately I am using either triangular law or parallelogram law. Now what is this phi? This is called phi. இதை முதல்ல ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கோங்க. +2 படிக்கிறவங்க IIT படிக்கிற யாராக இருந்தாலும் you should understand that phi is the angle measured, angle of r vector with respect to a vector. Phi is the angle measured r vector with respect to a vector. In the sense, angle between r vector and a vector, what in physics we call as? What we call as? Come on. Phi. That's what is phi. The formula b sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. B sin theta divided by a plus b cos theta. Clear then? Kanna? Now actually I gave a heading. I started with the heading. Really I started with the heading. Enna start panna vector addition subtraction na start panna. But I came to addition. Why? Because addition we had missed. Now let us go to subtraction. Let us go to vector subtraction. எப்படி சப்ட்ராக்ஷன் பண்ண போறோம் சொல்லி பார்க்கலாம். This is a vector and this is b vector by chance. Then what is this? Negative b vector. This is theta. This is what? R vector. இதுதான் ஃபார்முலா அங்கே எழுதியாச்சு. இந்த ஃபைக்கு தான் ஃபார்முலா அங்கே எழுதியாச்சு. But now what you are going to do? Now you are going to add a vector with minus b. That's what is a minus b. So now r dash equal to a vector minus of b vector. Right? இதை நம்ம எப்படி சொல்வோம்னா r dash vector equal to a vector plus of minus b vector. Simple. So instead of subtracting, let us look at it as addition. Addition of negative vector is automatically subtraction. Addition of negative vector is automatically subtraction. புரியுதா இல்லையா? Right. இப்போ ஒரு ரிசல்ட் எப்படி இருக்கும் சொல்லி பார்க்கலாம். How will be the result? How will be your result? Come on, anyone, come on. Result எப்படி இருக்கும் சொல்லுங்க. This is your result. R dash. This is sum of a vector and minus b vector. So simple it is. Minus b vector. So simple it is. Right? சரி சரி இதுக்கு எனக்கு ஒரு ஃபார்முலா கொடுங்க. ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக ஃபார்முலா போடலாமே, என்ன கஷ்டம் இருக்கு? ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக ஃபார்முலா போடலாமே இதுக்கு. So try to understand in a parallelogram like this. If anybody call this is b vector and this is a vector, it's a co-initial, therefore this is called theta. This gives you a plus b and this gives you a minus b. So simple it is. Or parallelogram la, if one diagonal gives you a plus b, the other diagonal must give you a minus b. Now this is what is r dash. This is what is r dash. In the r dash na parallel to itself. R dash. So in a parallelogram, if one diagonal which is passing through the co-initial point gives you a plus b, the other diagonal automatically gives you a minus b. Concept purida, a minus b purida, so simple purida. In a parallelogram, a diagonal containing co-initial point gives you a plus b. The other diagonal automatically gives you a minus b. Got the point? Got the point? Yes. இப்போ a minus b எப்படி வந்ததுன்னு புரிஞ்சிடுது. Now simple formula we want. அதுல என்ன பெரிய ஃபார்முலா இருக்கு, ரொம்ப சிம்பிள் பாருங்க. இவர் தீட்டான்னு சொல்லிட்டீங்க, அப்ப பேலன்சிங் எவ்வளவு இருக்கு? இது தீட்டான்னு 180 minus theta. 180 minus theta because this whole line is 180. 180 minus theta. So the above formula r dash equal to a square plus b square plus 2ab cos of 180 minus theta. You get the answer. That's it. உங்களுக்கு ஆட்டோமேட்டிக் ஆன்சர் கிடைச்சிரும். புரியுதா இல்லையா? தானா ஆன்சர் கிடைச்சிரும். சப்ட்ராக்ஷன் முடிஞ்சு போச்சு. So simple it is. So subtraction we look at it as addition of a negative vector. We look at it as addition of the second vector being negative. Addition of second vector being negative. Hope you understand. Clear then?
Yes sir.
Shall we go ahead? Tan phi r and idea solve. The tan phi color and idea solve. So what is sin 180 minus theta? In the 180 minus theta poda pore. What is 180 minus theta? Sin. Sin 180 minus theta.
Minus sin theta.
Wrong. Where was sin theta? No.
Under sin theta.
Where was sin theta? No minus, no cos. Where was sin theta? Therefore, tan phi dash equal to, சொல்லுங்க in the case இதான் phi dash, the angle between r dash and a vector is what is called phi dash. புரியுதா இல்லையா? Yes. அப்ப என்ன வரும்? அது அப்படியே காப்பி அடி. B modulus sin theta, because sin 180 minus theta is again sin theta, divided by a plus, come on, B, come on, cos 180 minus theta is minus cos theta. Therefore இது மட்டும் denominator மட்டும் minus b cos theta வா மாறிடும். Numerator அப்படியே தான் இருக்கும், b sin theta. புரியுதா இல்லையா? You get the answer. Yes. Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I think now I can take you back to addition and subtraction, as well as subtraction by using unit vectors. அது கொஞ்சம் பண்ணிட்டு அதுக்கப்புறம் we'll go for real application. இது வரைக்கும் நான் real application எதுவுமே போடல, ஷோ ஸ்டோரி தான் சொல்லிக்கிட்டு இருக்கேன். I have not gone for real application. Let me complete another 5-10 minutes and then we'll go for real application. What is that? Instead of doing all this graphical work, geometrical work, all this, let us simply use technique of algebra in vectors. Because algebra is the most efficient tool in mathematics, which is the easiest tool. இல்லையா மிச்சம் எல்லாமே நமக்கு கஷ்டம் தான். காம்ப்ளெக்ஸ் நம்பர்ஸ் கஷ்டம் தான், ஜாமெட்ரி ரொம்ப ரொம்ப கஷ்டம் மேக்ஸில். ஆனால் எது மட்டும் தான் நமக்கு ரொம்ப ஈஸி? algebra is the easiest one. So now we want to try to convert vectors in terms of algebra. This is what is called vector algebra in your mathematics book. Mathematics bookல அது வெக்டர்னே சொல்ல மாட்டாங்க. அந்த லெசன் நேம் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா வெக்டர் அல்ஜிப்ரா தான் இருக்கும். வெக்டர் அல்ஜிப்ரா தான் இருக்கும். சரியா? ரைட். வாட் இஸ் தட்? இப்போ I have a vector here. Right? I have a vector here, for example, right? I have a vector here. இப்படி இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோ vector. The first job is fix it with the origin of the coordinate system by chance. இல்லை சார் ஃபிக்ஸ் ஆகலை, ப்ராப்ளம் இல்லை, அது டிஸ்பிளேஸ்மெண்ட் வெக்டர் வந்துட்டு போட்டோம், அப்படியே ஆப்ரேட் பண்ணலாம், ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை கிடையாது. டு பிகின் வித் ஐ ஹவ் டேக்கன் லைக் திஸ். இப்போ இது வந்து ஒரு 10 நியூட்டன் அப்படின்னு இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோ. யுவர் ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஜாப், ட்ரா த ஃபுட் ஆஃப் த பர்பெண்டிகுலர், மேக் திஸ் as fx, make this as fy. How do you do that? You are very familiar with that. You have been doing it for a long time. If it is theta, then automatically fx equal to 10 cos theta. This is opposite side, therefore it becomes 10 sin theta. So simple it is. Now one can represent f vector as 10 cos theta I cap plus 10 sin theta j cap. 10 sin theta j cap. So simple it is. சார் இப்படி பண்ணுறதால நமக்கு என்ன சார் லாபம் வரப்போகுது? ரொம்ப சிம்பிள். when all the vectors that you operate get resolved into x, y, z, x, y, z, x, y, z, it is so easy to add all the x, add all the y, or add all the z, finished. No need of parallelogram law, no need of triangular law, nothing required. சும்மா அப்படி ஆப்ரேட் பண்ணிட்டு போயிட்டே இருக்கலாம். For example, I have a vector, momentum vector, p1 vector in physics. For example, 2i plus 3j minus k. So this vector is somewhere 2 along x-axis, 3 along y-axis, and minus 1 along z-axis. Then there is another momentum p2 vector is available. Say I minus 3j plus 2k. இப்படி ஒரு vector இருக்குன்னு வச்சு cap. Now what's the total momentum by chance? This is momentum of one body, this is momentum of another body. What's the total momentum அப்படின்னா சும்மா கண்ணை மூடிட்டு ஒரு செகண்ட்ல போட்டு போயிட்டே இருக்கலாம். 3i 0 right plus k, finished. This is p1 vector plus p2 vector. So simple it is. So therefore operating vector in terms of algebra is so simple. This is what is called orthogonal system. நாம என்ன சொல்லுவோம்? Cartesian system அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவோம். We are making use of Cartesian system. Only one thing we have done, we fixed I cap along x-axis, unit vector, j cap along y-axis, unit vector, again k cap along z-axis, unit vector. With that it gets over, right? This method is what we are going to follow. This is called, according to our textbook, physics textbook, this method is called, come on, யாராவது சொல்லி பார்க்கலாம், resolution of vector. This is called resolution of vector. We have seen addition of vector, we have seen subtraction of vector, now we are seeing resolution of vector. Now we are seeing resolution of vector. Karthikeyan has asked me, is it that the angle between r and r dash is 90 degree? No, not at all, not necessary, not necessary. Or the angle what he is having, probably my diagram supported that, looks like the angle between r and r dash is 90. That's the reason why Karthikeyan is asking me in the chat box, but that's not correct. That's not correct. So the angle between r and r dash may be anything. It may be acute angle, it may be obtuse angle, all those depends. It can be anything, right? அது இப்படி தான் இருக்கணும்னு ஒன்று ரூல் கிடையாது. That depends on your a value, b value. How a plus b behaves, how a minus b behaves depends on your a value, b value and the directions. This will only talk about that. Good, good, good. Karthikeyan is actively participating. Good, good, good. He is asking a lot of doubts. Lakshya is on YouTube. First time she has come. And she is bothered about time span of this class. She bothers about what time it will get over. When shall we close? Usually we close at 9:45. We'll do that. அதே பண்ணிடலாம் இல்லை, அதுக்கு முன்னாடி வேண்டாம். We'll close at 9:45. Right. அடுத்து எனக்கு என்ன பார்க்கலாம்? என்ன பார்த்தோம்? Vector addition பார்த்தோம், vector subtraction பார்த்தோம். By using vector algebra, what's vector addition? இல்லையா? இதில் what's the vector subtraction? போடலாமே, இதிலே போடுங்க பார்க்கலாம். Please do it, please do it. Vector subtraction, p1 minus p2. Come on, do p1 minus p2. சொல்லுக்கண்ணா. p1 vector minus p2 vector. So simple it is. Come on, easier போடலாமே. சும்மா அப்படி கழிக்க வேண்டியதுதானே. I plus 6j minus 3k. So simple it is. So when you operate vector in terms of algebra, it becomes so simple. In the orthogonal coordinate system, it becomes so easy, right? Cartesian coordinate system, sorry. Orthogonal சொல்லலாம் தப்பு கிடையாது. Orthogonal means perpendicular, that's all. We can call. Shall we go ahead? Shall we go ahead?
Yes, sir.
இப்போ என்ன பார்க்க போறோம், அடுத்து என்ன பார்க்கணும் சொல்லுங்க பார்க்கலாம். Yes, the most important now only we will enter into the real application of this. Yes, now I want to take you to resultant velocity. resultant velocity and relative velocity. You must understand these two terms clearly in order to manage many problems, particularly NEET and IIT-JEE. உனக்கு சில சமயத்தில் கன்ஃபியூஷன் இருக்கும், பயங்கரமான கன்ஃபியூஷன் இருக்கும். இது என்ன, இந்த புக்கில் இப்படி போட்டிருக்காங்க, அந்த புக்கில் அப்படி போட்டிருக்காங்க, இந்த ப்ராப்ளத்தில் இப்படி போட்டிருக்காங்க, அந்த ப்ராப்ளத்தில் அப்படி போட்டிருக்காங்க, டவுட் இருந்துகிட்டே இருக்கும். பிகாஸ் unless you have very clear idea between these two, I mean resultant velocity and relative velocity. Yes. What is resultant velocity? What is resultant velocity? Try to understand the meaning of resultant velocity in physics, the meaning of relative velocity in physics. First resultant pathallama? Yes. Now, rain falls with a speed, say 10 meter per second. 10 meter per second is too high. Yes, rain falls with a speed 10 meter per second from the cloud. Wind blows due east, is the top. Wind blows due east with a speed, say 10 meter per second. It's quite possible. Now, what's the resultant velocity of raindrop? Now, raindrop is being pushed by the gravity, velocity it gets. Pulled by the gravity, it gets velocity. Raindrop is being pushed by the air, it gets velocity. So, idhu velocity da, idhu velocity da. Radhini quote no. This is called resultant. Total. இப்போ நம்ம கண்டுபிடிச்ச வெக்டர் அடிஷன் அதே தான் இது. What is that? 10 root 2. முடிஞ்சு போச்சு. At what angle? 45 degree from east or maybe 45 degree from down, என்ன வேணா போட்டுக்கோ. இது எந்த டைரக்ஷனில் இருக்கு? இப்போ ஈஸ்ட்டுக்கும் கிரவுண்டுக்கும் மத்தியில். இப்போ இது வந்து ஈஸ்டர்ன் டைரக்ஷன், இது கிரவுண்டு. இப்போ 45 டிகிரி இங்கே இருக்கு. புரியுது இல்லையா? இட் இஸ் நத்திங் டு டூ வித் நார்த் அண்ட் சவுத். இட் இஸ் நத்திங் டு நார்த் சவுத். இந்த டயக்ராம் எங்கே இருக்குது? நார்த் சவுத்தே கிடையாது. ஏன்னா இது டாப்புக்கு போயிடுச்சு, கிளவுடுக்கு போயிடுச்சு, இது பாட்டம் கிரவுண்டுக்கு போயிடுச்சு, இது ஈஸ்ட்டு, இது வெஸ்ட். நம்ம குழந்தைங்க என்ன குழப்பிக்கிறாங்கன்னா அடிக்கடி இப்படி ஒரு பிரதர் டயக்ராம் போட்டோன்னே இது நார்த்துன்னு நினச்சிக்கிறாங்க. நார்த்துலேருந்து மழை வர்றதில்லை, மழை எங்கேருந்து வருது? டாப்லேருந்து வருது. ஸோ வி ஹவ் 6 டைரக்ஷன்ஸ் ஆல் டுகெதர். ஈஸ்ட், வெஸ்ட், நார்த், சவுத், டாப், பாட்டம், 6 டைரக்ஷன்ஸ் இருக்குது. At any point of time you can represent only 4 directions on a paper. You cannot represent the rest 2. You can imagine. புரியுதா? This is called resultant. இன்னொரு எக்ஸாம்பிள் பார்க்கலாம் ரிசல்டன்ட்டுக்கு. Yes, this is a river flows. River வந்து இப்படி flow ஆயிட்டு, velocity of river இப்படி flow ஆயிட்டு. The boat travels from here to here with the velocity of boat. இது என்னது? இது velocity of boat. அப்போ இந்த போட் இவர் எப்படி ஓட்டுறாருன்னா, is riding his boat, rowing his boat, not riding, rowing his boat from say north to south. Say north to south. இப்போ இந்த டயக்ராமுக்கு சந்தேகம் இல்லை. இது நார்த்து, இது சவுத்து, இது ஈஸ்ட்டு, இது வெஸ்ட். நோ நீட் ஆஃப் டாப் பாட்டம். ஒரு ரிவர் ஃப்ளோ ஆகுதுன்னா அந்த இடத்துல நமக்கு ஃபிசிக்ஸில் டாப் பாட்டம் தேவைப்படாது. நோ நீட். எஸ். இப்போ சொல்லி பார்க்கலாம். த ரிவர் ஃப்ளோஸ் டியூ சவுத். இது வந்து சவுத் நோக்கி வந்துகிட்டு இருக்கு. எது? போட் கோஸ் டியூ சவுத், பட் த ரிவர் கோஸ் டியூ ஈஸ்ட். இது வந்து வெலாசிட்டி ஆஃப், கமான், velocity of river, this is velocity of boat. All together the boat எங்கப்பா போகும் அப்படின்னா, yes, and that depends. இது கொஞ்சம் லாங்காக இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோ, போட்டோட ஸ்பீட் அதிகமாக இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, பை சான்ஸ். இதுதான் velocity of boat. அப்போ உங்களுக்கு instead of square, last time I took square, not necessarily always square. Now you may get a rectangle. Now theta. Now really the boat moves with the resultant velocity at an angle theta with respect to river. இப்போ இவர் யாரு? இவர் தான் எனக்கு A வெக்டர். இவர் யாரு? இவர் தான் எனக்கு B வெக்டர். இவர் யாரு? R வெக்டர். இது யாரு? இப்போ phi. Tan phi is equal to B sin theta divided by A plus B cos theta. மாற்று பார்க்கலாம் அப்படியே. Now tan phi is equal to, come on, மாற்ற கற்றுக்கணும். இப்படி போட்டாலும் ப்ராப்ளம் போட முடியும். சொல்லு. Tan phi is equal to B sin theta. யாரு? B, இவர். Velocity of boat. Come on. Sin. What is the angle between east and south? இதான் theta. இந்த மொத்த ஆங்கிள் தான் θ. எவ்வளோக்குண்ணே? 90 டிகிரி. 90 டிகிரி. புரியுதா உனக்கு? இது phi, அது வேற. புரியுதா இல்லையா? எஸ். டிவைடட் பை a. a யாரு? velocity of river. velocity of river plus velocity of boat cos 90 என்ன ஆக போகுது? 0. இதாங்கண்ணே. ஸோ tan phi இங்கே டயக்ராம்லேயே பார்த்து நீங்கள் போட்டலாம். ஏன்னா ஆஃப்டர் ஆல் ரெக்டாங்கிள், ஆஃப்டர் ஆல் இட் இஸ் ரெக்டாங்கிள். tan phi is given by opposite by adjacent. opposite யாரு? boat. அதான் இது. adjacent யாரு? river. அதான் இது. புரியுதுன்னா you can do that provided the angle is 90 degree like this. I hope you understand. Resultant அப்படின்னா புரிஞ்சுட்டு உனக்கு. You understand the point. Resultant, when two velocities are acting, what you calculate is Madhusudanan asked me a question on YouTube. So suppose the resultant vector has got both I, J, K and K components, then how can we resolve them is a question. Yes, he got some idea. Probably, sure Madhusudanan, I'll explain you, don't worry. I will explain. What's pending I want to check. Okay, relative velocity is pending. We'll come back. So Madhusudanan asked me on the YouTube how to resolve a 3D vector, a vector which has got component in all the three. How to do that? அது எப்படி நான் 3D diagram பக்கா என் போர்டில் போட முடியாது, but you can try to imagine that. I'll give simple example. So x, y, z. X, y, z. I think I should shift my board to explain you better. I think I should shift my board to explain you better. Paathalam. 1 second, 2, 3, 4. Yes. Yes. Please come here. Now, Madhusudanan wants how this can be resolved. Say A vector. This A vector, right? Now, if this vector is in 2D plane, if this vector were in 2D plane, what do you mean by 2D plane? 2D, x axis, y axis, x, y மட்டும் இருக்குன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, only xy plane அப்படின்னு கண்டா, இங்க vector இருக்குன்னு கண்டா, A vector, suppose, then it's making an angle theta. Now it's very simple. This is what I already showed you. Ax equal to, come on, A cos theta. Ay is equal to
A sin theta.
A sin theta. But now that is not the case. That's the reason why Madhusudanan is asking this particular question. Now Ay is not A sin theta. That's the problem now. Because the vector has become 3D. I will try to explain you to what extent you will understand. Let us check. The vector, if it is falling in the plane, it's very simple. Opposite side is sin, adjacent side is cos. Opposite is sin, adjacent is cos. But now my vector is here, not lying on the plane. Inga irukku enoda vector. It is in 3D plane. It is in 3D plane. Puriyudha illa unakku? Right. Now how to calculate this vector into component? It's a beautiful question he asked. Yaar kettadu? Madhusudanan asked me. Yes, I will explain you. Let us first start with x, y. So let us start with x axis. In the x axis mattum modalla eduthuko. Just take x axis. This is your vector. Look at, this is your vector. Your vector has got component along x axis. If the angle between x axis and your vector is alpha, let us take. நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்? The angle between your vector and x axis is, come on, இங்க உங்க வெக்டர் இருக்குன்னா இந்த ஆங்கிள் இருக்குமா இருக்காதா கண்ணே? இருக்குமா இருக்காதா? x axis vector இருக்கும். Come on. Yes. That angle is called alpha by chance. நான் இப்போ புதுசா ஆங்கிள் இது வரைக்கும் ஆல்ஃபா சொல்லாம இப்போ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் டைம் ஆல்ஃபா சொல்றேன். சரி, ஆல்ஃபா. Then anybody can close your eyes and tell the answer. Ax equal to A cos alpha. யாருக்காச்சும் இதில் டவுட் இருக்கா? If a vector makes an angle alpha with x-axis, what's the component? Come on, இங்க பாரு, இவ்வளவு நேரம் தானே போட்டோம். இப்படி இது a வெக்டர்னா இது தீட்டான்னா x-axisல எவ்வளவு கண்ண
A cos theta.
அது பதிலா ஆல்பா போட்டிருக்கான், அவ்வளவு வித்தியாசம், வேற ஒன்றும் கிடையாது. Understand the point? Now, the same vector, look at here, the same vector here, standing here, look at my pen, this is my vector. Assume that it makes an angle beta with y-axis. Assume that it should make some angle with beta, the y-axis, yes. Let it makes an angle beta with y-axis, is our assumption. Definitely alpha is not going to be beta, it is something new. அப்போ இங்க எவ்வளவு காம்போனன்ட் அவர் வச்சிருப்பா? இப்போ சொல்ல டக்குன்னு சொல்லலாம், டைம் வேஸ்ட் பண்ணக்கூடாது. டக்
A sin beta.
A cos beta, அங்கதான் பிரச்சனை. காசு கிடையாது, காசு வராதுன்னு முதல்ல சொன்னேன்ல, நீ மறந்துட்டு. adjacent side தானே. It is making an angle. ஆங்கிள் இங்க தான் ஃபார்ம் பண்ணுது. ஆங்கிளுக்கு ஆப்போசிட்ல இருக்கிறது தான் சைன். புரியல உனக்கு? இஸ் இட் நாட் கிளியர்? இது இருக்கண்ணே, இப்போ மாற்றி போடுறோம், இதே டயக்ராம் மாற்றி போடுறோம் பாரு. இப்போ இப்படி இருக்கு, திஸ் இஸ் ஏ வெக்டர். இங்க டீட்டா போடுறது நான் இங்க டீட்டா போடுறேன். இப்போ சொல்லு யாரு? இன்ஸ்டெட் ஆஃப் டீட்டா ஹியர் ஐ புட் டீட்டா ஹியர். இப்போ இங்க யார் சொல்லுவேன்? ஏ காஸ் தீட்டா. புரியுது இல்லையா? இது வரைக்கும் இங்க ஏ காஸ் தீட்டா வந்து வந்துருச்சு. ஸோ தீட்டாவுக்கு அட்ஜசென்டா இருக்கிறது தான் காஸ். இப்போ என்ன சொல்றேன்? மை வெக்டர் இஸ் இன் 3D ஃபீல்ட், இட் மேக்ஸ் an angle பீட்டா வித் y axis அப்படின்னு நான் சொல்றேன். அப்போ ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்கா நீ கண்ண மூடிட்டு என்ன பண்ணணும்? அந்த இடத்துல b cos beta. புரியுது இல்லையா? b cos beta. Let us come to z axis. Z axisல I claim my vector is making gamma. இங்க நான் பார்க்கறதுக்கு பெருசா தெரியும், பெருசாலாம் இருக்காது. ஏன்னா என்னோட பேனா இங்க தான் இருக்கு, என்னோட z axis இங்க தான் இருக்கு, என்னோட z axis வந்து இங்க தான் இருக்கு. புரியுதா? இந்த டயகிராம் தான் பெருசா தெரியுமே தவிர ஆங்கிள் அவ்வளவு கிடையாது. இந்த பேனாவுக்கும் இந்த ஸ்கேலுக்கு இடைப்பட்ட ஆங்கிள் தான் கமான் காமா. ரைட்டா? ரைட், காமா. அப்போ இங்க எவ்வளவு டக்குன்னு சொல்லி பார்க்கலாம்? a cos gamma. புரிஞ்சுதா உனக்கு? a cos gamma. You understand? Now ax எந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல இருக்கா சொல்லப்பா? ax எந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல இருக்கா சொல்லப்பா?
A cos alpha.
இல்ல கண்ணா, ax எந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல இருக்கா? விஷ்ணு சொல்லு, ஆனந்த் சொல்லு, ஐஸ்வர்யா சொல்லு. I cap, J cap, K cap. இப்ப சொல்லு கண்ணா, a vector is given by, come on, ax I cap, ay j cap plus az k cap. Getting it? Substitute. A vector equal to a cos alpha times I cap, a cos beta times j cap, a cos gamma times k cap. இவ்வளவு சொல்லிட்டீங்களா சார்? a மாடுலஸ் சொல்லுங்க. ரொம்ப சிம்பிள். a மாடுலஸ் given by square root of, சொல்லுங்க நேராவது, a square cos square alpha, a square, come on,
Cos square beta.
Cos square beta.
A square cos square gamma.
a square cos square gamma. Now a pull out, a modulus equal to, இல்ல பேசாம இந்த பக்கம் ஸ்கொயர் போட்டுக்கோங்க. a modulus ஸ்கொயர் போட்டுக்கோங்க. அப்போ இந்த ரூட் எடுத்துடலாம், ஈஸியா இருக்கும், இன்னும் கொஞ்சம் பெட்டரா இருக்கும், ஈஸியா இருக்கும். ரைட் ரைட், I removed square root on the other side. a square common you take, so a modulus square equal to a square times cos square alpha. போர்டு உங்களுக்கு தெரியாது? yes, cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma. எவ்வளவு கண்ணா இதெல்லாம் சேர்த்தனா?
அந்த a ஸ்கொயர் எடுக்கும்போது cos ஸ்கொயர் வெளிய எடுத்துக்கலாம்.
இல்ல நான் a ஸ்கொயர் மட்டும் தான் வெளியில எடுக்கிறேன்.
இல்ல சார், cos ஸ்கொயர் எடுத்துக்கலாம்.
எப்படி எல்லாம் இது ஆல்பா பீட்டா காமால எப்படி எடுப்பேன்? வேற வேல்யூ இல்ல, you cannot take. ரைட், எதுக்காக நான் இதை போட்டேன்னா, நம்பர் 1, Madhusudan asked me, even otherwise I want to explain you, this is automatically 1, must be 1, ஒன்று தான் இருந்து ஆகணும் தலையெழுத்து. ஏன்னா இது a ஸ்கொயர், இது a ஸ்கொயர், அப்போ இருக்கு என்ன வேலை? புரியல உனக்கு? a square equal to a square into something. What is that something? Must be 1. அப்போ who is this cos square alpha plus cos square beta plus cos square gamma? Come back. This cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are called in your mathematics textbook, I think 12th 11th vector algebra உங்களுக்கு 11th இருக்கா 12th இருக்குல்ல 12th according to NCERT 12th standard mathematics book, this cos alpha, cos beta, cos gamma are called, come on யாராவது சொல்லி பார்க்கலாம், directional cosines. These are called directional cosines. அப்படின்னு உங்க மேக்ஸ் புக்ல கொடுத்துருப்பாங்க, ஒரு பெரிய தியரி எல்லாம் எழுதியிருப்பாங்க. இது ஒரு புக் ஒர்க்கா இருக்கும், அதில் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா ஒரு நியூமரிக்கல் மாதிரி போட்டிருப்பாங்க. நான் என்ன பண்ணியிருக்கேன் ஒரு மேக்ஸ் புக்ல இருக்கும் அப்படி as it is. Madhusudan, you understand? Put a yes on the chat box. Otherwise, give your comment. What is your doubt? Exactly, Nashmarayan. I am using directional cosine. You are 100% right. You are 100% right. Lakshminarayan is asking directional cosine. Are we using directional cosine? Yes. Madhusudan said yes. He understood. I hope. This is called directional cosine in mathematics. Very good, Kana. Anyway, in physics also rarely we use this. Physics also rarely we use this. ஒரு சில நியூமரிக்கல்ல தேவைப்படும். When three forces are there, கொஞ்சம் ஷார்ட்கட்ல போடலாம். If you are thorough with this, கொஞ்சம் ஷார்ட்கட்ல போடலாம். தேவைப்படும், பார்க்கலாம். IIT ப்ராப்ளத்தில் தேவைப்படும். Good. நம்ம அடுத்து என்ன பார்க்கணும்? What we supposed to be continue with?
Relative velocity.
Relative velocity. இன்னும் relative velocity பார்க்கல இல்ல? Relative velocity. Yes, Kanna. Relative velocity. Relative velocity. What is relative velocity? Velocity of an object. இப்போதான் சொன்னோம் relative displacement definition சொன்னோம். என்ன சொன்னோம்? பொசிஷனுக்கு என்ன சொன்னோம்? பொசிஷன் வெக்டருக்கு என்ன சொன்னோம்? with respect to origin. Relative velocity என்ன சொன்னோம்? with respect to something else. அதுதான் relative velocity. Relative velocity of an object is velocity of an object A with respect to B. What do you mean by that? B should be either at rest because the origin is at rest, or assumed to be at rest, or assumed to be at rest. ஒன்னு B restல இருக்கணும், இல்லனா restல இருக்க வை physicsல. That's all. You make it zero. You make it zero. What is that? This is A vector. Say sorry kanna, VA vector, and this is VB vector. What is relative velocity of A with respect to B? VA vector minus VB vector, also called VA vector plus of minus VB vector. So simple it is. அப்போ இவரை உல்டா பண்ணி போடு. இப்போ இதை எடுத்து ஆட் பண்ணினா வர ரிசல்டன்ட் is what is called VA vector minus VB vector. Is what is called resultant vector VA vector minus VB vector. புரியுதா இல்லையா? Resultant is what is called VA vector minus VB vector. Right? Relative velocity of A with respect to B is equal to VA minus VB. இது என்ன சார் ரொம்ப கஷ்டமா? அதான் ஒரு கஷ்டம் நான் செஞ்சு காட்டினேன். 2A minus 3J minus 3A minus 4J சும்மா அப்படியே சப்ராக்ட் பண்ணி போட்டே இருக்க வேண்டியது வெக்டர் அல்ஜிப்ரா. ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக நமக்கு ஆன்சர் வந்துடும். Very easily we get answer. Pawan says board is not visible. YouTube kids, please tell me, board is visible. Board is visible or not? YouTube students, please tell me. Pawan says board is not visible. Please check it. Pawan, please tell me. Is it okay now, settled, or any issue with YouTube? Here in my studio everything goes perfectly, it looks, but Pawan says board is not visible. Pawan, I think you have some internet issue. Pawan, I think you have some internet issue, because here my display is going on in YouTube. It shows clarity. It's very clear. It's very clear. Others may please respond me. Visible only. Yes. Oh, smart board is visible, but white board is not very clear, it looks. Okay, Kanna, good. So relative velocity, அடுத்து என்ன பார்க்கலாம் சொல்லுங்க. What shall we do then? Addition of everything we have done. Relative velocity also done. Vector subtraction, vector addition. I think next class tomorrow we are going to have, of course, we have another 15 minutes to go in today's class. So tomorrow we will start with worksheet, numericals. I think tomorrow we are going to schedule it at 8:30 or 8:45. I will let you know after this class. I will consult with Sweta madam and let you know what time we supposed to start. Tomorrow we will get usual plan is every Saturday 2 hours, every Sunday 2 hours. That's our plan. But in the week mattum konchu time korchu poduvaanga nenikiren because it's clashing with other subjects. So konchu korchu poduvaanga nenikiren. Okay, let's go ahead. Just 2 more topics to go in vectors. Adhiyum mudichalaam inniki so that tomorrow we can go ahead with numericals. Right? What are that? Come on. Enna paaka pora solunga paakalam. Dot and cross product. Multiplication of vectors. Multiplication of vectors. If you know the first question what arises is, very simple question that arises is, can a vector be multiplied with scalar? Very simple question to begin with. Can a vector be multiplied with scalar? Yes or no?
No, sir.
Yes, it is 100% yes. It is 100% yes. When I write 8 I cap, what is this? Scalar vector. Plus 3 j cap, what is this? Scalar vector. It's quite possible. So naturally it is allowed a scalar can be multiplied with vector. I will try to explain you. Can the mass be added with length in physics? Yes or no? Can the mass be added with length in physics? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, not at all. Can the mass be added with velocity? Yes or no?
No, sir.
No, but you can multiply mass with velocity happily in physics and call it as momentum. So multiplication of any quantity is allowed. There is no restriction at all. நீ எதை வேணாலும் multiply பண்ணிக்கலாம். Is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Good. Let us begin. This is A vector. Anomaly has responded on the chat box. Lokesh has responded on the chat box. Dayanita also responded. Thank you. Yes. Now, what is this? 3 times A vector. Onnu thappu kediyadhu. You can easily multiply A vector with 3. Sir, can I multiply A vector with half? Why not? Multiply pannalame. This is half times A vector. Thappu kediyadhu. Oru prachanayum kediyadhu. So what I want to explain you in the beginning, a vector can be very easily, very clearly, like an algebra, you can multiply with any scalar that you want. Accordingly, the vector size will increase, but you cannot change the direction of vector. And the direction அப்படியே தான் இருக்கும். நீ அது வேணா நீட்டிக்கலாம் குறைச்சிக்கலாம். A vector, if you multiply with 1000, it will enlarge 1000 times. If you multiply with 0.1, it will become 1/10 of that. But you cannot adjust the, come on, direction மாற்ற முடியாது. Direction மாற்ற முடியாது. This will begin. Now, so multiplication of scalar with vector is allowed. Multiplication of vector with 0 is allowed. Multiplication of vector with 1 is allowed. Now the question is the multiplication of vector with vector is allowed? Multiplication of vector with vector is allowed. This is the next question. Yes, multiplication of vector with vector is allowed. That's what we call as vector multiplication. Vector multiplication. Vector multiplication. Chalo paklam. Popularly it is divided into 2 parts. Come on. Dot product and cross product. Dot product is also called scalar product. This is also called vector product. So inga namak rule enna, this is A vector and this is B vector. A vector dot B vector is simply A modulus B modulus cos theta. A modulus B modulus cos theta. So modulus scalar, modulus scalar, cos theta scalar, therefore the answer is a scalar. Answer is a scalar. This is a story of dot product. Come to cross product. In cross product, A vector cross B vector equal to A modulus B modulus sin theta n cap. Sin theta n cap. A modulus B modulus sin theta n cap. Now, here because of this n cap, it becomes vector. A cross B gives you vector. Yes. இப்போ இதான் A vector. இதான் B vector னு வச்சுக்கோ. These are the two vectors I am using, right? A vector, B vector. So when I calculate A cross B, the rule is that right hand thumb rule. A vector, B vector. A cross B, when you curl your fingers, the thumb gives the direction of n cap. I mean the answer, I mean the product. இந்த ரெண்டுத்தையும் ப்ராடக்ட் பண்ண வேல்யூ எங்க இருக்கு, எந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல இருக்கு, இந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல இருக்கு. புரியுது இல்லையா? நான் இப்படி வைக்கிறேன், இப்போ ப்ராடக்ட் எந்த டைரக்ஷன்ல இருக்கு, இப்படி என்ன நோக்கி இருக்கு, இப்படி வைக்கிறேன் ஒன்ன நோக்கி. Now where is the answer? Answer is here. So the idea is the finger should curl from first vector to second vector, A vector to B vector. இப்படி curl பண்ணும்போது இப்படி வர்றதுக்கு பேரு என்னது? Resultant A cross B. That's what is A cross B. That's what is A cross B. So it's called right hand thumb rule that we use to find it. Right? Let's go ahead. Yes, first one the scalar product na enna we'll try to understand what's the meaning of scalar product. இப்போ பாருங்க, this is A vector, this is B vector. By chance I take acute angle, not necessarily or you should take always acute angle. Angle வந்து obtuse கூட இருக்கலாம். To explain பண்றதுக்கு உங்களுக்கு acute எடுத்துருக்கு. This is theta, this is a co-initial point, it's a co-initial point and this is theta. Right, இப்போ இது B modulus cos theta, B modulus cos theta, right? B modulus cos theta. இது எவ்வளோ? B modulus sin theta, B modulus sin theta. புரியுது இல்லையா? You understand? Right? இப்போ multiplication of this with this is what is called dot product. This with this. என்னது இது? So A dot B is the product of magnitude of A with the component of B in the direction of A. யார் இது? Component. Who is this? Component. இந்த component எந்த directionல இருக்கு? In the direction of A. Once again, A vector dot B vector is multiplication of A modulus with component of, come on, component of B vector in the direction of, come on, A modulus component of B vector in the direction of A vector. Component of B vector in the direction of A vector. புரியுதா இல்லையா? Is what is called dot product. Then what is cross product? Go back. What is cross product? This is A vector, this is B vector. இது அடிக்கடி questionல வரும். NEET questionல particularly கேட்பாங்க, அடிக்கடி பார்த்துங்க. A vector, B vector. நான் better diagram போடுறேன். A vector and this is B vector. Theta. Now draw parallel to B. Draw parallel to A. Yes. Now what is this opposite side? What is this opposite side? சொல்லு பார்க்கலாம். நீங்களே சொல்லுங்க. இது theta B, இது B. அப்போ இது எவ்வளோ? சொல்லுப்பா. B cos theta. அப்போ இது எவ்வளோ? சொல்லு. B sin theta. அப்போ இது எவ்வளோ? B sin theta. Now look at this is A, one side base, perpendicular distance. In a parallelogram, what is the base into perpendicular distance? In a parallelogram, what is the multiplication of A base into perpendicular distance. What is that? Come on. Area of the parallelogram. It is nothing but area. It is nothing but area. So, A vector cross B vector is nothing but, come on, A multiplied with B sin theta. Of course, n cap is like, that's different. N cap taniya irukattum. Modal ivanga yaru? Base into perpendicular distance. What is that? Area. It is nothing but area. Area of parallelogram. Area of the parallelogram into n cap is what is called A cross B. A cross B is equal to area of the parallelogram formed by those vectors. Area of the parallelogram formed by those vectors. Clear the name? Any doubt? Pavan, doubt? Annamalai? Come on, Kanna, Lokesh? Any doubt? Dot and cross product rules. Come on, please. Dot product, cross product. Any rule? Any doubt? Not getting any reply. Can any of you tell me? Shall I clear the board? Clear பண்ணிட்டு போயிடலாமா next time?
Yes, sir.
Good. Thank you. Most of the students have responded me on the chat box on YouTube. Good, good. Dayanita wants me to explain tensor once again. She wants me to explain what is the meaning of tensor once again. Yes, I will explain it. I will explain it. What is a tensor? Tensor is a physical quantity used in physics, a quantity measured by using a device, okay? Physical quantity measured by using a device which is neither scalar nor vector. Nobody can say it doesn't have direction. Nobody can claim that it has got definite direction. இப்படியும் சொல்ல முடியாது, அப்படியும் சொல்ல முடியாது. Such a quantities are called tensor. Such a quantities are called tensor. So tensor can a definition now. Tensor is neither a scalar nor a vector. The first sentence for tensor. Then what it is? It takes the direction according to the situation. It takes the direction according to the situation. Situation க்கு தகுந்த மாதிரி அது direction எடுத்துக்கும். எப்படி situation இருக்கும்? Say for example, ஒரு சைக்கிள் டயர்ல நீ காத்தடிக்கிற. அந்த சைக்கிள் டயர்ல என்ன ஆகுது? பிரஷர் ஏறுது. Stress, force per unit area. That's what is pressure. இது ஏறுது. அப்போ அந்த சைக்கிள் டயர்ல பிரஷர் எப்படிப்பா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு கேட்டா, this is cycle tube. Your cycle tube. இதுக்குள்ள இங்க தான் ஏர் இன்ஃப்ளேஷன் நீ பண்ணிருக்க. இங்க தான் ஏர் இன்ஃப்ளேஷன் பண்ணிருக்க. இப்போ எப்படி இருக்கும்னா இங்க கிடைச்சாலும் வெடிச்சிட்டு ஓடி வந்துரும். இங்க வெடிச்சாலும் வெடிச்சிட்டு ஓடி வந்துரும். இங்கேயும் வந்துரும். இங்கேயும் வந்துரும். எங்க வேணாலும் வந்துரும். எங்க வேணாலும் வெடிக்கும். Provided the pressure is over. அப்போ எங்க அந்த ஒரு pressure act பண்ணுது அப்படின்னா எல்லா இடத்துலயும் act பண்ணுது. It doesn't have any specific direction. It doesn't have any specific direction. புரியுதுல? ஒரு பலூன் இப்படி இருக்கு. நீ ஊதிக்கிட்டே இருக்க. எங்க வெடிக்கும்? இங்க வெடிக்குமா? இங்க வெடிக்கும். எங்கனா வெடிக்கும். Because everywhere there is a force. Everywhere there is a pressure. The pressure is there everywhere. This quantity is what's called tensor. This quantity is what are called tensor. புரியுதுலையா? So liquid pressure is a good example for tensor. Room pressure is good. Air pressure is good example for tensor. Stress is very good example for tensor. ஏன்னா stress is nothing but force per unit area. எந்த டைரக்ஷன் இருக்கும் தெரியாது. தெரியாது. அதான் நம்ம pressure சொல்றோம். Stress, force per unit area in a liquids and solids is what, sorry, liquids and gases is what is called tensor. Is what is called tensor. Good, good. She asked me about tensor. Is it okay, Kanna? Dayanita says yes, okay, fine. I think our YouTube without any lag it is moving on. Not much lag. நம்ம இங்க என்ன பேசுறோம் within 2 seconds it's reaching the kids. excellent. So இதோட நமக்கு theory part almost நான் explain பண்ணிட்டேன் இன்னைக்கு எல்லாமே explain பண்ணிட்டேன். Just 2 minutes we'll go ahead with right from the beginning. A physical quantity is measured scalar, vector, tensor. No direction. Yes, there's a definite direction, unique direction, and no neither scalar nor vector. Again, vector we divide into two major parts. What are they? Proper, improper. This is called polar, this is called pseudo. Proper, improper. Proper vectors have got definite direction, improper vectors change the direction according to the condition. Excellent example for this, omega, angular velocity, all those. When you come to proper vectors, again it is getting divided into two parts. What are they? Free and localized, fixed. Free and localized, fixed. Localized na fixed vector, right? So free vectors, நம்ம syllabusல full of free vectors தான் எடுத்துக்க போறோம், like velocity, force, momentum எல்லாம் free vectors தான் நம்மள பொறுத்தவரைக்கும். So free vectors are the vectors which are free to move anywhere in space parallel to themselves. Then we have seen addition of vectors, triangular law, parallelogram law, polygon law, and then on the subtraction of vectors, a plus b, a minus b, we have seen simply adding a plus of minus b is what is called a minus b, we have seen. அதுக்கப்புறம் என்ன பார்த்தோம்? Resolution of vectors. Resolution of vectors, a vector can be cut into two or more parts in two-dimensional plane, very easy, a cos alpha, a sin alpha, something like that. But when it comes to three-dimensional plane, we have to go for cosine law, directional cosines in mathematics, and the technique that we use for physics. So I showed you how it works. And then we came for multiplication of vectors. We have come across, and இதுக்கு முன்னாடி நம்ம relative velocity முடிச்சிட்டோம். Relative velocity is so simple. Velocity of A with respect to B is blindly velocity of A minus velocity of B. If two bodies are going in the same direction, it is minus. If two bodies are going in opposite direction, it will become plus. If A minus of minus B will come, the velocity will become addition. We can have a good example for this, like rainfall, river, நிறைய example பார்க்கலாம், அப்புறமா பார்க்கலாம். So there is a major difference between relative velocity and resultant velocity. I gave you two good examples for resultant velocity. One is air pushing the raindrop, that's not relative, that is resultant. Boat propellant pushed by the engine at the same time pushed by the river, this is resultant, not relative. Relative na enna நம்ம next class la பார்க்கலாம், don't worry. சரியா? Relative, that's VA minus VB. I will give good example for that, don't worry. This is the case. And finally we have seen dot product and cross product. Clear now? Dot product, A dot B is equal to A modulus B modulus cos theta. The result is a scalar. A cross B, A modulus B modulus sin theta n cap. The resultant is a vector. By using right hand thumb rule you can find it. So இதுக்கெல்லாம் applications, worksheets எல்லாம் நம்ம tomorrow's class will have. I think tomorrow class we are going to plan somewhere around 8:30 morning, I think, if I am correct. Anyway, check பண்ணா இப்போ உங்களுக்கு link அனுப்பிச்சிடுறேன். In the evening itself, night itself, we will send you link, so that you can get ready for tomorrow's class. So here and after we shall have Saturday and Sunday, both the days classes. 11th standard portion we will be keep on revising. சரியா? ரிவைஸ் பண்ணிட்டு நல்ல worksheets போடுவோம். Okay Kanna, we'll meet in the next class. Bye Kanna.
Sir?
Yes Kanna, yes.
Sir, we have biology class tomorrow, sir, from 7:30 till 10.
No, we changed the time. Your biology class, Aishwarya, we have changed from 11 to 2 permanently. Is it okay for you?